This system in itself allowed Jesse to make more progress in less than 3 months than he did in over a year before working with me previously. And not only that, he's able to continue to grow after working with me one-on-one. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the exact system that I plugged into my client Jesse's life so he could pack on 20 pounds in less than 90 days and becoming a completely different man in the process. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to show you guys from A to Z exactly what we did and how we were able to get Jesse to coming from being at a place to where he was lost in the gym, didn't really have any drive, wasn't really able to make much progress on his own, to making the most progress he's ever made in less than 3 months and just actually becoming that confident version of himself that he always wanted to be. So as you can see on this left side, this is around about Jesse's starting point, and he reached out to me on Instagram telling me that he wanted my help, he wanted to work with me one-on-one, and he had just got out of a draining relationship and lost his progress, and he was really just stuck. One, not really having the motivation, two, not really having the system, and three, not really seeing any results because he was training for about a year before. And when he came to me, he was around about a year, maybe a year and a half into training. But as you can see, he really wasn't making nearly as much progress. But when we dialed in everything, he was able to get all the way upwards to gaining over 20 pounds and being at a spot to where he wanted to be. So I'll stop rambling and I'll go over the specifics of what we actually did for Jesse, or what I actually did for Jesse, and how we were able to get him there. So first thing that I want to dial in on is the one-on-one calls that me and Jesse had every single week. One thing that's really important to me as a coach and just as a person in general is to make sure that anyone that I come in contact with is able to gain as much value as possible. So one, of course, these calls were about making sure that Jesse was on track with his goals, making sure that he understood every single aspect of training, whether that was form, intensity, X, Y, and Z, making sure he was on track and doing what he needed to do. But outside of that, me and Jesse actually formed a pretty much friendship, right? Like I would be on these calls with this guy and he dialed in this system so efficiently that we would get on these calls and he'd be like, yeah, man, I hit another PR this week. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I ate all my meals. I'm hitting my macros every single day. I'm gaining around a pound, maybe a little bit more per week. And I'm getting stronger and I'm really liking the way that I look. So we would just hop on these calls and just talk about his life, his goals, and his struggles outside of the gym, and figuring out exactly how he could apply the principles that he learned in the gym to these areas in his life, whether that was him trading, whether that was him dealing with his college or his work environment, whatever it may have been, relationships. We were just talking and forming a genuine connection. But these one-on-one calls were obviously for accountability, but it was also for that relational side that matters a lot to me. And what this did is it allowed Jesse to be even more transparent with me, so we were able to really dissect exactly what was holding him back. And in that process, he was obviously able to make a ridiculous amount of progress, as you saw in the beginning of the video. So, like I said, on these one-on-one calls, me and Jesse not only went over everything that was going on in the gym week after week, making sure he was on track, hitting his goals every single week, whether that was progressively overloading, gaining half a pound, maybe even more per week, just making sure that he was on track, hitting every single goal in these calls. We went over every single constraint that could have possibly been holding him back, and we got to a point, like I said, to where he was locked in on all these habits that we would just get on this call and talk about his life, because I want to make sure that I'm not only getting my clients results in the gym, but I'm also forming a genuine connection with these guys and making sure that they're good, hence the name BTG, or Beyond the Gym, which is just the name of my coaching company. So that was the 101 accountability side of things checked off. In a nutshell, this is what we did on these calls. Second thing that I want to go over is Jesse's goal-specific training, because Jesse came to me with a very specific goal, like you guys saw in the beginning of the video. If I'll be able to scroll up here, Jesse's goal was obviously to pack on more size and become more confident and just be able to make the progress that he lost in that relationship and even surpass that. So obviously I'm not going to throw Jesse some cookie cutter split or some random workout plan that I saw online. I made sure that I was able to understand how Jesse preferred to train, what he was used to. The biggest thing that I set up for Jesse was I didn't just give him a workout split. I split it into 3 phases, right? So I didn't just throw him a split to where, let's say he was at phase 3 or phase 2 and that was it. But no, we had a first phase, second phase, and third phase of training. And as you can see, this is a screenshot from just a singular workout that he had to do a random day. Because I'm obviously not just going to give out the whole split that he did. Otherwise, it would take up this whole screen because it was over the course of over 3 months. But in the first phase, I made sure that Jesse was able to just understand how to train. Understand that tempo, intensity, mind muscle connection, literally everything that went into training, warming up, what things should feel like, what things shouldn't feel like. In this first phase, we were just focusing more so on volume and actually showing up to the gym and learning how to do these movements properly. So in the second phases, Jesse was going to be able to push himself harder, put on a few more plates, whatever it may have been, just getting him to a point to where he was comfortable training and training hard. Because of course you can sit here and be like, hey man, I know how to lift, and then if you go for a set that only has two reps or whatever it may be, just for the sake of example, he's going to end up getting himself hurt. And obviously my goal with working with these guys isn't to set them up for failure. So I wasn't going to just throw Jesse into the deep end and say, here, train as hard as possible with a movement that you don't even know how to do, because obviously that would lead to him getting injured and not making any progress at all. So like I said, Jesse had a very specific goal to pack on more mass, and there's so many different routes that you can go with training, but the biggest things that we wanted to make sure that we did was one, have a training split that could actually work with his schedule, where that was with work, college, or whatever it may have been with his personal life. And I wanted to make sure that this was something that actually worked for his lifestyle specifically. Not just some split that I thought would work, some split that I knew 100% would work with his schedule, with his lifestyle, with everything that he had going on, because obviously my clients are human, they're not robots. They're not gonna just be able to just be like, okay, I'm gonna do this and cut off every single aspect of my life. No, we wanna make sure that this actually works for their lives specifically, and that's why I didn't throw him just some cookie cutter plan that didn't work, or some random workout plan that I just throw at any and everyone. So we got down to the specifics, the movements that he preferred, what he didn't prefer, and we dialed in every single training phase in the 3 phases, like I said. And this is a screenshot of one of the workouts that we did in phase 1, just to kind of get him used to everything. We were just solidifying the training so much so to where he would just be able to show up and understand how to do every single movement, understanding everything from tempo, intensity, and mind muscle connection, mind muscle connection, and having this, without a doubt, allowing him to understand everything in phase 1, exactly how to train X, Y, and Z, so we can push harder in the second and third phases of training. And I gave Jesse a 4-day split, which was upper lower. It was around about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or it was either, we may have switched it to Monday, Tuesday, pause, and then Friday, Saturday. But he was training 4 times a week, doing upper lower. And then in this first phases, as you can see, we had a couple different ranges of sets, but as we progressed into the second and third phases, we just dropped this down to 2 sets across the board, reduced the amount of reps that he was doing so we could really push for mass. And this looked like 2 sets from anywhere from like 8 to 10. And we obviously, worked on his weak points, whatever it may have been, and brought everything up that he wanted to bring up. So that's training in a nutshell. And now community. And this is something that's very, very important to me, and something that I implemented a little bit after Jesse had initially joined. So I realized that not only did these guys need some type of support from me, training, nutrition guidance, but they also needed a community. They need people that are on the exact same journey that they're on, doing the exact same thing, have the exact same mindset and the exact same willingness to put in the work, and ultimately just give them more of a reason to push themselves harder. And that's exactly what I implemented a couple weeks into me and Jesse working together. As you can see, these are a couple of guys that were in BTG, or that are in BTG, and we would hop on these group calls every single week and just talk about life, talk about what was holding them back in the gym, things that they needed to work on, things that they wanted to improve on outside of the gym, like I said, and just having a community full of guys that, one, we're on the same journey, like I said, because every single one of these guys were working with me one-on-one, yes, but just adding them into a group and forming a brotherhood just allowed every single person inside of BTG to be better as a result of that. So like I said, I wanted to make sure I didn't just give my clients a meal plan or a workout plan, but I wanted to provide them with as much value as possible. And what we do, or what we need as men with bigger goals, or with anything that we're trying to achieve, is we need a community, right? Like I said, this is a screenshot of one of the many group calls that we had, and this was just a couple of the guys in BTG. Obviously, not every single person was able to make it to the group calls at the exact same time, but my guy Jesse was in this one, so I obviously put it in this video. But like I was saying, these group calls, we have men on the exact same journey that was pushing him every single day, not only holding him accountable, with these guys holding them accountable too, and forming a real connection with other people. This in itself gave him even more drive to push himself even harder, because it wasn't just me holding him accountable, but it was multiple other guys too. And these guys were able to just sharpen each other and continue to push each other and improve every single day. So not only was Jesse able to have a relationship with just, let's say, online coach, which is me, and typing this with my mouse, or drawing this with my mouse, so it may look a little bit crazy. And then this is, let's say, Jesse, right? And this is just one person holding him accountable, one person sending him reminders, one person talking to him every single day. And of course, this could work because obviously, whether we had this community or not, Jesse was going to make progress. But when you add on a community full of guys, and then you take just one singular person holding them accountable, and you multiply this by 10 to 20 people, then all of a sudden Jesse has 10x the amount of accountability that he didn't have before. So not only is he getting advice and getting accountability from me and having conversations with me, he's also having conversations and having a community full of men pushing him 10 to 20 times more. And this ultimately led him to making even more progress than he would have made with just working with me alone. So we had a community or a private group in Slack to where we would just talk to each other. These guys would just update each other on their meals, on their training. They give each other physique updates. They ask each other questions and just form a genuine relationship with each other. Because like I said, as men, we need a community. I don't want to just be a coach. I want to help these guys in every single area of their lives. So community was definitely something that helped Jesse a ton. And every single person in BTG told me that they loved these calls. So I know 100% this was something that helped them a ton. I don't know why Myro did that. But that's community in a nutshell. Third thing, am I mistaken? No, fourth thing that we did was something I like to call habit stacking, right? So habits, without a doubt, was the biggest needle mover for Jesse, because when it comes down to it, you can train, you can eat and show up for, a couple calls for a week or two, right? And then fall off. Because what really happens is you can say, hey man, I want to make this change, and you're really fired up, you have the motivation, quote unquote, and you're doing great the first week, but it's really easy to fall back, right? And just backslide to where you were at before. And with Jesse, you could easily just backslide to the same habits that he had before that was leaving him here with his meals, with his training, with his mindset, with his recovery, with everything that he was doing. He could have easily backslid to this, but habit stacking pretty much prevented him from falling back into his old habits and just solidifying the habits of the person that he wanted to become, ultimately leading him to becoming said person, right? So habits, without a doubt, was the biggest needle mover for Jesse, because when it comes down to it, you can train for a few weeks and then fall off, but really solidifying these needle moving tasks and making sure that he checked these off every single day. Every single habit on here he checked off every day and made sure that he was on track hitting his goals. We saw that he even surpassed his goal after having all these habits so solidified. They became second nature. So not only was he able to just check off the list day after day, but he was able to become a different person completely in the process, and he embodied the type of man that he wanted to become. And as a result, this reflected on his physique. And I go over this in a whiteboard video that I explained for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes on here, and you can check that out. I'll put this on the screen, or I'll put it in the next screen over when this video ends, so you can actually see the importance of this. But basically, like I said, these are just a few of the habits that I have set for some of my guys, and we had them do these every single day and just had it so solidified to where it was almost impossible for him to fail. So here are a few: journaling, reflecting hard on the day, what could have been better, what you could do better tomorrow, logging his lifts every single time he went to the gym, texting me, keeping me updated on his progress, and just having more accountability and being like, hey, this is what I did, this is where I fell short, and just having an action plan to make sure that we did it even better the next day. And obviously things like weighing himself dry in the morning, making sure that he was actually on track to hit that weight goal that we had set, because obviously gaining 20 pounds is no super easy task, and if we were going to fall off, I wanted to catch it right then and there so he wouldn't completely fall off and stop making progress. So us doing this just allowed us to, like I said, linearly progress every single week. And here are a few things, obviously, like cardio, drinking a gallon of water, hitting his macro goals, hitting a wake up time, because this is very important. Just having a set routine so solidified into Jesse that he, like I said, once again, became a completely different person in the process, right? So this is habit stacking in short, and like I said, I have a full-blown 30-minute video going over this and how important it is to habit switch / habit stack, and this in itself helped Jesse even more. And then lastly, we had some identity shifting modules, and this is basically even more bonuses for Jesse to upgrade his mindset and just understanding everything from the real reason he stayed small upwards to this point, what happened if he didn't change, what happened if he does change, basically just making it crystal clear on how exactly this is going to affect him, not only in the gym, but outside of the gym as well. And the Skinny Guy Playbook, how muscle growth actually works, making sure that he knows everything from A to Z. I don't want my guys just being like, hey, I'm going to blindly follow this. I want to make sure that they understand why they're doing what they're doing every single day, why it's important to track, why it's important to log, why it's important to do tempo or train with a certain tempo. Why it's important to think a certain way, X, Y, and Z. All of these things are ridiculously important. And so I made sure that my guys understand this in and out, because my goal as a coach isn't to have these guys holding my hand forever. My coaching program is 12 weeks or 3 months. And that's the hard stopping point that I want my guys to be able to learn exactly what to do, get the result, and be able to understand it so much so that if they chose to, then they can just go out and make progress completely on their own. And that's exactly what my guy Jesse is doing. But like I said, some of my clients like to just work with me after this. So if they chose to continue working with me, then they could. But like I said, I don't want them being so dependent on me to where, let's say, I die one day or they stop working with me and then they lose their progress, right? I want my guys to be set up for success in the long run. Something like, giving a man a fish versus teaching him how to fish, right? One's going to have it, one's going to have it for a lifetime. Or one's going to have it temporarily, one's going to have it for a lifetime. And obviously, why most guys train wrong, the actual eating problems, like the psychology behind the things that was holding them back, why motivation is a lie and he shouldn't be, completely dependent on it, what he needs to avoid or what caused him to fall off in the past. And setting up a training routine so once he's able to actually solidify everything, let's say he's not on the program anymore, he could easily just make his own split or follow the split that I gave him, whatever it may have been, right? And then building his meal plan and then tracking his progress, like I said. So obviously, like I said, on top of this, Jesse had access to modules showing him how to break his current identity or his previous identity and embodying the man that he wanted to become. And like I said in the habit section, this is one of the most important things when it comes to actually achieving your goals, because a lot of coaches out there just throw information, throw programs at their clients, and then leave them out to dry, But I wanted to make sure that Jesse had every single principle understood and that he solidified it in himself so much so that not only was he able to make progress working with me or having me as his coach 101, but he was also going to be able to make progress completely on his own after the coaching program was done. Because like I said, my biggest thing is I don't want my clients to be dependent on me forever. I want them to continue to achieve their goals after they're done working with me. Because in my opinion, if your clients aren't able to just go out and completely, just crush it on their own and continue to make progress, then you failed as a coach. That's my opinion. I know a lot of coaches out there may not think the same, and they're just like, oh, I want to keep my clients on and make as much money from this person as possible, but I don't think that way, right? So these are the core things that we solidified in the Jesse, and this is how he was able to pack on over 20 pounds in less than 90 days after being stuck in kind of a cycle of starting or making a bit more progress and then falling off for about a year, right? So this system in itself allowed Jesse, and I'll say this again, to make more progress in less than 3 months that he did in over a year before working with me previously. And not only that, he's able to continue to grow after working with me one-on-one, right? So obviously you guys are able to see everything that I did from start to finish, and obviously this information is good and you can apply this to yourself, but the reality of it is there's thousands of YouTube videos like this online. There's thousands of training programs out there online. There's ChatGPT. You have all the information, right? Like me, I'm sharing this information that my clients pay me for free. And the reason why I'm able to do this and not be worried about it is because, one, I want you guys to be able to make progress on your own. So if you take all of this and apply it to your life, the habit stacking, surrounding yourself with the right community, having everything dialed in, you can 100% make progress. But the reality of it is information does not equal implementation, right? And the biggest thing is a lot of people have this confused. They think if I just have all the information that I'm somehow just going to magically get the result. But if that was the case, you wouldn't even be watching this video. This video is around 15 to 20 minutes long. If you already made the progress that you wanted to make, you wouldn't be here so far, right? You would have clicked off the video and like, man, I'm doing perfectly fine. You could easily watch 1,000 videos and just learn, and never implement, but that will lead to you never making progress, right? Obviously, Jesse being in a situation for a year, he didn't make nearly as much progress or any progress at all. He was getting discouraged and was at a point to where he was like, man, I don't even know if I should continue training because I'm not growing, right? And that's because he didn't have the right system and he didn't implement the system in the right way. Versus someone like Jesse who joins and he gets the system and he implements it, then he gets the result 100%. And we see this in this video. Everything that I've been explaining upwards to this point, shows exactly what I'm saying. So I'll say all this to say you guys could learn from this video. You can see like, okay, Isaiah did this, this, and this, and you know, he applied this, and you can try to apply it into yourself. But the reality of it is this probably isn't the first one of these videos that you watch. So I say all that to say, if you're ready for me to work with you one-on-one to apply the same system into your life so you can actually gain the muscle, gain the confidence, actually make progress and keep the progress long term and have a domino effect of you improving in every single area of your life from the gym, beyond the gym, hence the name, like I said, then click the link below and book in a call with me. And obviously, this isn't just for people who are like, man, I want a little bit more free advice, because you can go on my channel and just look at all the other videos that I posted. I may post this on a separate channel, but if you look up my name, you're going to find my YouTube channel with about 6K subs, and you're going to see all the videos that I made. I have hundreds of videos out there. So if you just want more freebies, don't click the link below, don't book a call. But if you're actually ready to make a similar transformation that Jesse did, and you're tired of spinning your wheels, you're tired of staying in the exact same spot, click the link below, book in a call with me, and we'll get something going, and we'll make sure that you actually make the progress that you've been wanting to make for years. But like I said, if this isn't you, go ahead and just watch this video, try to apply it if you want to. Do not book that call, because like I said, I'm not going to hop on calls or just any and everyone. I value my time, and I'm not going to sit here and waste my time or your time if you're just like, hey man, I don't even know if I want this. So if you really want this, you're really serious, book in a call with me. But hopefully this was able to help you guys in some way, shape, or form, or at least give you some sort of a roadmap of exactly what you need to do in your life. And as you can see, the result speaks for itself. My client Jesse is one of the guys in BTG that have made a ridiculous amount of progress outside of it. But every single person that joins BTG hits the result, because my guarantee is that if you don't gain the desired goal, which is obviously gaining 20 pounds if you're watching this video, then I'm going to work with you for free until you do hit that goal. So it's a guarantee. It means unless you don't put in the work, there's literally no way that you don't make progress. So like I said, booking that call with me with the link below. I'll obviously have it pinned in the comments as well. And hopefully this was able to help you guys get some sort of at least roadmap on what to do in your lives. So if you book that call, I will speak with you soon. But if you don't, go ahead and just watch this video, watch the other videos, apply it to your life, and you can definitely make some progress as well. I love you guys. Jesus loves you too, and I'll see you in the next one.